We say we care for you, but at the same time our policies don't support the same, which is not going to lead to a better industrial relations. Friends, I'm personally a great believer in spirituality, and I strongly believe that if you send a positive energy, you will get positive energy. If you send a negative energy, you will get a negative energy. So, if you want to change others, if you want cooperation from others, if you want sort of a congenial atmosphere in the organization or with the people or group around you, you have to be open, you have to have congruence in thoughts, words, and actions. Whatever you do should be in congruence with what you said earlier and what you thought of doing. And that only will make sure that you develop right relationships. It starts with one-to-one relationship, and I have seen this converting into the group relationships. And we need to look at it. I don't want to go too much into it. Last point that I would like to, friends, touch upon is grievance handling is something, a buzzword we have all been, talking about, but it remains in the books for people to be showing it in the CII, whatever that, excellence awards and all that, but it never gets JMCs or workshop councils and whatnot at the worker level that we have started. The discussions are at the peripheral level. We need to make sure that instead of grievance handling, we come to the caring of people, and caring again by actions. There are several ways to do that. I don't want to take too much time because I'm overshooting my time in any case. But friends, the key word that I want to leave with you is, please move from grievance handling to caring if we want others to be supportive to what we do. And always treat worker as your equal partner. He's not your enemy. He is not somebody who is inferior to you. In fact, because of him, you are getting the output and you are getting the production, you are getting the profitability. Please treat him with all the respect, all the honor, and all the care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mehta Sahab. A couple of quick supplements statement. Mehta Sahab talked about Rusi Modi, Sri Ram, so on and so forth. He also talked about opulent lifestyle of people, and especially in corporate world. You would have read recently that the topmost chief executive in India earns 76 crore per annum. Do I need to name the gentleman? I don't have to. 76 crore per annum, which means 20 lakh rupee per day. I mean, what kind of HR philosophy or HR practice it is, and what kind of HR director that company has, which is allowing, quotes, allowing, permitting this chief executive to have 76 crore. Now, is he the richest Indian chief executive? No. There are others. When probably Ajim Premji earns more. But he doesn't take 76 crore. So, is there any learning? That's a question. Second, Bharat Bhai was talking about being visible, talking about Rusi Modi, Sri Ram. I am aware comes from Escorts. And I used to work in Escorts, and the father of current chairman, Rajananda, HP Nanda, he was one guy who was on the shop floor, who was visible. And he would know who on the shop floor, you know, Ramesh ki beti ki shaadi kab hai, ya uske pitaji kab bimar hai, he would know. Same applies even today, strangely, just in this belt, Brij Mohan Munjal. He would know what is happening on the shop floor. So building trust, communication, And that ensures that you do not have an explosive situation. So those are some of the thoughts probably we need to think about it. It's a very vast subject, you know. I mean, when you talk about proactive HR strategy for handling reactive IR, I'm sure my colleagues, Bharat and Singh Sahab, they have stories and stories to talk about. Since we have limited time, probably we are curtailing. So Rajesh, it's your turn. Please.
Thank you,
carry on.
Mr. Singh. Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope nobody's sleeping, right? It's the last session of the day. Okay, so I wanted to use a presentation. I'm not going to do that because in the interest of time. So as everyone is sharing experiences, I'll also share my experiences, right? More often than not, so I've had my fair share of IR instances that I have seen, I've been part of. And I'll quote 3 of them as an illustration. One IR scenario was where I remember that the settlement of workers was supposed to be renewed every 3 years, and it was pending for 7 long years, right? Something that happens at a certain frequency of time, and this is pre-recession. This was not when 2007 struck and things went down the drain. There was another scenario which I was part of where VRS was being offered to workers, and there was no attempt made by the management or this side of the folks to make them understand of how, whether it was beneficial, non-beneficial, what are the terms, etc. And then I remember entering into the scene when the management folks were crying on the fact that VRS was not a success. And then a third scenario in which I got Giraud, and I was Giraud for almost about 2 hours with about 200 people around me. This was many years back in a terrorist-infected area, so I was almost thinking I'm not going to survive. But that was because there was a transfer scheme implemented by the organization, a government organization, and the implementation of that had several hiccups, not communicating enough with the worker population as to how those transfers across locations are going to affect their families. So if you really see, my experience on most of what we deal in IR has been that it's only a one-sided story. I don't think we ever get down to thinking whether a worker is engaged, not engaged, is he skilled, is he not skilled, does he need reskilling, because the world has changed. Today is a world of outsourcing, today is a world of social media, today is a world of internet, today is the world of, as our panel even spoke of, mechanization, technology. Are those guys trained enough to deal with the future, or are we just looking at a few days, few months, few years here and there? So for me, my experience on IR, I don't know about proactive, but I surely know, and I think that's what the panel has been hinting at as well, is that let's get back to the basics first, and then we'll think about whether we really need to do something proactively. And Mr. Singh, in fact, set the tone very well. So if you heard him right, what he said was that, are we really doing the basics? When we look at wage fairness or compensation fairness, or are we looking at terms and conditions of service? Are we looking at training our people? Are we looking at engagement? And Mr. Mehta spoke about care, right? Are we really doing that part? Well, more often than not, if we compare what we end up doing for our corporate employees, the white-collar employees, and what we end up doing in a blue-collar scenario is completely different. And it's so different that there is no match. At least I haven't come across that match. And for me, I think that really means that you go back to a mindset change. Now, unfortunately, that mindset change is required across a number of bodies, whether it is the management of the company, whether it is the employees themselves, that is the blue-collar employees, or the government for that matter. We all know we've been dealing and struggling with the labor law reforms. Law has a very, very important part to play in all the nonsense that happens in IR, right? And as the panel also spoke about that, as much as what is important is discipline, as much as flexibility. And the law, unfortunately, does not provide that flexibility, neither does it provide the discipline today. And so labor reforms becomes a very, very important and pivotal area for HR folks to at least target if they really want to bring about change. So in effect, it's not really proactive here. It's about going back to the basics. The other things, and we've already talked about care, we've talked about trust, we've talked about building engagement with the workers. The other thing that I saw was that, if today we are actually going back to our early 40s and 50s, if you remember that is when the capitalism really started, right? It was all about profit. There was nothing called care, and there was nothing about, today, it's apparent in one way, it's not so apparent in one way, but all companies think about profit, right? So where does care go and where does the other stuff go, we don't know. It's all about money, right? It's all about whether I can survive for the next 5 years or not. The world is changing so fast. Now, is our worker population prepared to deal with that change? Are our managers in HR prepared to deal with that change? Now, those are the questions we need to answer if we really have to avoid or deal with situations like what happened in Manesar. The other thing, and this was something that also, I was speaking to somebody, I'm from XLRI, and I was speaking to somebody there, in fact, one of our IR profs there. And he came up with something which is very pertinent. He said that you see that there is no socialist dialogue that happens between the workers and the company. There's hardly any socialist dialogue that's actually happening. There's no dialogue. So till the time a dialogue starts happening, and that's what even the panel said, till the time a communication starts happening, things are not going to change. When you are not going to tell the other person what you want, and you will not listen to the other person what he or she wants, obviously there is a mismatch, and things are not going to change. So I think it's all about going back to the basics. I think, as I see, one of the other experiences that I've had all this while, especially when it comes to IR, is IR or even HR, and I deal, and all of us as HR professionals deal with employees all the time. One of the things that will affect any employee, for that matter, is anything that threatens the status of I, me, myself. So if there's anything that's impacting you, or me as an employee of the company, my status as an employee of the company, if it is threatening it, it's bound not to go down well with the employee. No matter whether the employee is a white collar or a blue collar, these are just distinctions that are being made. Unfortunately, what has happened over the past 10 years is that, more than 10 years, is that while the world, in terms of cost of living, in terms of diversity, in terms of racial, social differences has been narrowing, which means these differences are coming down. If you really look at, people who were from the lower strata of the society can afford much bigger things today than what they used to do 15 years or 10 years back. Thinking and our own initiatives along bridging this difference between a white collar and a blue collar have not really narrowed down so much. So I think it's a question of just doing that, following the basics, going back to what HR stands for. And actually, it's a coincidence. While Mr. Mehta pointed out that quote, I do remember reading this quote about a month back. I was reading a presentation, and this had this quote by Bruce, which actually has a very important word called humanize. And I believe human resources is meant to humanize things. So till the time you don't humanize things, these instances will keep on reoccurring. So that's about me. I thought I'll just make it quick and short rather than using a presentation, share what I've gone through and what my experience has been in situations that have IR and hardcore IR in them, and I've gone through them myself. So my sense is that don't just always go by the book and by the rule. Have a balance between how flexible you can get, as much as for your corporate employees as for workers, and probably we may not encounter situations like we did in Manesar. Thanks. Look forward to questions.
Thanks. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you. And you were lucky that you were Garhoud only for 2 hours. That's a very short span. Lucky. Okay. Let's have Abhay from Escorts. I'm sure he had some interesting stories. Escorts used to have some IR problem in 90s when I used to work with them. I don't know how the scenario is today. Probably things are much better. Far better. Far better, yes. So that means HR is at work. Great.
Good evening, friends, and thank you very much, DMA and IBA, for inviting me for this very interesting topic. As Mr. Dr. Singh has already created a lot of curiosity in the hall that how Escorts has been doing and how Escorts, one of the very oldest organization in this region, have gone through a lot of IR scenarios and how it is now. So that is a different thing. I'll definitely talk about it. But apart from that, what makes proactive HR to avoid reactive IR? This is a very relevant topic, and where I would like to say that when in any situation, when we talk about the reactive IR, that is basically the failure of proactive HR or the strategic HR, whatever we can call upon. If HR is flowing free means flexible, realistic, engaging, and empathizing. These are the 4 words if we are able to implement through our HR strategy across the organization. I think gone are the days when we will have any situation to face the reactive IR.